Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to season 2 of Conversations in Pop Culture. And before I introduce my guest, I do want to remind everybody that there are some links up above. There is his Kickstarter, so please go support that. There's also Buy Me a Coffee. There's also a t-shirt that I just dropped that's Gundam oriented. And we are going to be talking a little bit about anime in a second here. So without further ado, I'm bringing back Isaac Fox, who has another Kickstarter going on, Pure Intent. So welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. Good to be here, man.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. And I was like talking to you because obviously Cremisi did very well, and I enjoyed that Trigun cover. And we're talking about Pure Intent, which is on Kickstarter, which is in the world of Cremisi. So what is Pure Intent in the world of Cremisi exactly, so we catch everybody up to speed?
Yeah, Pure Intent was a product and part of my agent telling me that I needed to do more than just Cremisi. Now that Cremisi, when I first started doing comic books, I did it because I had a story I wanted to tell. I wanted to tell Cremisi, I wanted to do more with it. But Cremisi got bigger and bigger than I ever anticipated it was going to be. And in the last campaign, as you can see over here, this mess around me, I'm still packing the rewards to ship out because it was never anticipated to hit what it hit. We hit just shy of 20,000 with sold about roughly 1,000 books when I was planning on selling 300. So did not have a plan for what was going to happen there. So now I'm busy. You can see the packages and all are just like, they're all waiting labels now. This has been my life every day, getting this ready. But Pure Intent takes place in the same universe as Cremisi. It's not necessarily involved with it. So if you haven't read Cremisi, you can still jump into Pure Intent without any level of confusion whatsoever. None of the Cremisi characters are in issue 1. It just takes place in the same universe, but some of the same alien races, some of the same rules and laws still apply. It's my first full color series, so unlike Cremisi where we only use red, this book has all full color to it. Everything's colored in and shiny. It will be a 3-issue long series. We're on the first one right now. The second issue will come out next year. The lead artist on this one is Nila Nandita. She is amazing. You will see her as well on Cremisi 5, which she's currently working on. I've got her swapping back between the two since Sayako Rush, the artist who did originally work on Cremisi, has retired. So Nila's taking over for her. The colors are by Gentle Nelly. This is his first appearance coloring a book. The book has a hardcore old school anime vibe to it. It makes me feel a lot like Yu Yu Hakusho, which is great. It's one of my personal favorite shonens to ever be put on the screen.
So let's talk about a little bit of this because obviously there's a lot going on, and so obviously, and I'm sure you're going to correct names for me. We have the main character in Pure Intent, Koru, who basically winds up getting abducted, sort of as a slave, is meant to fight because he has a special power by a pirate clan.
Sort of. So Koru himself isn't a fighter. It's more so he's used as a spectacle to come in and kill whoever loses. So instead of him having to actively participate in battle, he's just the executioner, unwilling but to. She has no desire to be a part of that. Part of the idea of Pure Intent is Koru sees light in what is essentially an incredibly dark universe, where we are forcing youngsters to kill one another for the entertainment and gambling of crowds. When I originally started doing this story, I wanted the main cast to be about the ages of 10 to 12 years old. And the American feedback people that I use, focus group, thank you, my words, please. The focus group I went to, every American hated that idea. They did not like the idea of children killing each other. Me coming from a more anime and manga background, I'm kind of accustomed to that, where it's like, oh, they're 10, they die all the time. And I wanted to go for a more heavy Iron-Blooded Orphans kind of feel, where children just, they get it. It's not, there might be a room full of kids, and they might get machine guns. That might happen. And I had to pull that back because it just didn't test as well. So now two of the main characters are 14 years old, and then the main character we see who's probably in more violence is 19 years old. Because if Hunger Games has taught us anything, here in the States, we're okay with teenagers killing each other, but not under the age of 13 for some reason. I'm not sure why we draw the line right there, but we do. So I had to modify it a little bit for that. So the idea of the story is Koru is a slave. He's forced to kill all these kids in these arenas. And he dreams of saving all of his other fellow youngsters who were enslaved, and ultimately he wants to save the universe. He wants to be a hero. Koru is, if we're familiar with going back to Cremisi, he is the virtual opposite of Shay in every way. For Shay is an alcoholic, he's kind of a scumbag. he'll cheat, he'll go to whorehouses, he'll do all this stuff, whereas Koru is just complete nobility and often spends a lot of time meditating and quoting a lot of Taoist principles and philosophies. Both Kramisi and Pure Intent deal heavily in neo-Taoist principles, ideology, and imagery. So Koru embodies that idea of, we're more or less becoming a sage and trying to become that kind of character. Throughout the story of Pure Intent, though, we're going to see if those pure intentions of his ultimately yield fruit, or if, well,
yeah.
The old phrase is the road to hell is paved in good intentions. So we'll see where that goes.
And this is very interesting because obviously we're getting into this idea where he is very idealistic as well, where when you want to go save everyone, you know, and you're going up against a ruthless pirate clan that obviously is viewing this and they're making money or they're having influence over, you know, this execution and this fighting ring game type they're ringing up, I think is a safe assumption. And well, people want to see the death stuff and then losing side of that stuff. And then, well, now you're opposing some serious, you know, competition and some serious threats. And it's this entire thing where it's now, okay, is the ambition and then is the nobility going to defeat the evil? Or is the evil going to win, or is Koru going to become that evil to beat the other evil? And there's all sorts of shit that can go on, for lack of a better word.
There's a lot of things about it I can't say because the story is only 3 books long, but it is an extremely important story, and it will tie into something, and I can't say what. No one on the team has been told what actually it is. The lead artist, Nila, doesn't know what the actual intention of the story is or where it's going. Izumi, my mascot, she handles a lot of my public relations, social media for me. She doesn't know. No one except for myself and one editor have any idea what the purpose of this story is or where it's actually going, because there's certain things I don't want subconsciously done in the book. I need certain things to hit a certain way. And Pure Intent so far, I've been told by every editor that's ever looked at it, it's the best writing I've ever done. But I don't know how, I feel as the writer, you're your worst critic, so you're always thinking you're not as good. Like, I'll go read something somebody else, like Brian K. Vaughan or Rick Remender have done, and like, yeah, you guys are way better than I am. Like, there's no way. But so far, everyone who's read it really enjoyed it. And one of the great things about this book is I got a chance to work with some absolutely amazing artists for variant covers. We have a ton of them this time that are just, each one's better than the other. We've got a Demon Slayer homage cover, which I know Demon Slayer is all the hotness right now. There's a naughty and nice version of that cover done by
We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. I promise.
Okay. Sure.
And so I want to touch on one thing before I push you, and then we're going to talk a lot about variant covers, is that what is this like? Because obviously you created the world of Kramisi, and you obviously went through, I think you did 4 issues, and then you were going through sort of rebirth on it, which is sort of updating it, and that's what the last Kickstarter was. And obviously, you know, you're doing Kramisi 5, and then I think you're going to probably want to re-releasing Kramisi 2, and stuff like that is sort of going on. I don't know the full battle plan. I don't think that's a secret. And obviously,
no, not. My agent scheduled me out for the next 4 to 6 years of Isaac Fox books, and because issue 4 did way above what I thought it was going to do. That's when I first started working with some of Art Terms people. And then when we decided to do a rebirth of issue 1, I looked back on it and said, okay, the company's changed. The people involved have changed. We've gotten bigger. We've learned more. Now we're working with a lot of professional groups, and a lot of big names now are aware of who Isaac Fox is and what we're doing. I need to go back and do this a little bit better. When we first went to Kickstarter, Kramisi 1 was released in a bundle package with issue 2 as a single book, as a mini volume. So we decided to go back and rebirth issue 1 with just new covers and new stuff to it. The story itself was never changed. The interiors were never changed. I won't do that. I'm not going to change the story on anybody. And that was kind of the mark of, okay, this is not what it used. This is not what I thought I was going to initially go into. My campaigns before that were about 150 backers, so respectable but not bigger. Whereas this time it was with Kramisi's rebirth, it was, no, you go to the big boy room now, and you're selling over 1,000 books. So go to the big boy room and do this. And that was really a moment that made me rethink how I was approaching all of this. And I went, okay, I can't do just one series anymore, because I can't produce Kramisi fast enough to stay relevant every year by itself.
This is where my question comes in, is that what is that like to now play in the world of Kramisi further develop that world, but also not step onto the toes of Cremisi at the moment. And also, though, still stay relevant and also build out, because when I'm as a reader reading Cremisi and then I'm going to be reading Pure Intent, I'm now getting a bigger, wholer picture of the world of Cremisi from both these stories, even though they don't necessarily cross each other, or they may cross each other, or they may not. I don't know. Or there may be another story later on that's in the Cremisi world, and now we're getting a more holistic approach. So what is that like for you? Because it is very cool, and not every creator gets to do that.
It's this weird thing where you kind of go through phases where there's times I'm like, wow, I'm really doing good. And other times I'm like, wow, I suck. I am not doing as good as other people. It's kind of a balance of back and forth. There's some days I'm looking at it like, man, am I really doing good at all? Like, this is just bad. And other days I'm like, all right, this is great. I can do so much more now. And that's part of me just having PTSD and bouncing around like the person that I am. It's been an amazing experience to go through it, and Cremisi opened the door to more books and more series. October this year, Suck You Busted 1 comes out, which has nothing to do with Cremisi. It's not the same universe. There's no relevance whatsoever. That's coming out. There's another brand new series we've got that I'm working on now. I'm actively designing the characters of my artists right now. Probably won't see that one again. Cat. Sorry. My cat attacked my leg. Stop. We probably won't see that one for another year or so. That's going to be a fun one. That's going to be another kind of an ecchi kind of story. Just like Sucky Busted is very ecchi heavy. And then I've also got, next year we have Foxy Vacations Hot Spring editions coming out, because every anime has a Hot Spring episode. So what we've decided to do is essentially a pinup book, a naughty pinup book, on the same lines as what Zenoscope does every year. Udon does it with Street Fighter. I decided we're going to do one of those. It's going to take characters from across my universes and throw them into these vacation kind of scenarios, where the majority of the book is going to be just pinups done by other artists. Every page is a different person. Some of my interior people have more than one page, but for the most part, you're going to see guys like Jason Hare. You're going to see, the list is long. Who else I got in that? Mitsu's in it. A bunch of people, I can't think of all the names. I have a list. Sarah Mater is going to be in it. A bunch of people. Cute Sexy Robots is going to be in it. That's a huge name. Several H artists have signed on to do that, though the work is not H. I want to stress that it's not a hentai book, but you will see some scantily clad up to naked women in the book. There are also some pages that feature the males, some of my male characters. They are
Robotech. The Robotech swimsuit edition features the men.
Right, exactly. We believe in equal opportunities fan service here. So the only thing I don't do is I don't show male crotch, but that book, there's only about 4 comic pages in it, and those are going to be done by Mitsu. Everything else in there is all just straight pinups, credited to the artists. I've got a lot of people working on that. So that'll come out early next year. That's being put together right now, which is great for me because it means I don't have to write a huge script. It kind of buys me a little bit of time. But at the same time, I found from Kickstarter, people like that kind of stuff. They like their pinups. They like their imagery. So we're going to give people what they want. I believe I'm in the business to make people happy. If that's what my backers want to see, that's what they're going to get. So we have that. And if that does well, if Foxy Vacations, the first book of that, does well, I'll turn that into a yearly publication where every year we'll do a new pinup book of them in a different fantasy or vacation kind of setting. And just keep pushing that along. Just one a year of characters from across the universes. And that will include characters from the new books that come out as time moves forward.
And then obviously a lot of stuff's going on with you. And obviously I do want to talk about a lot of the variants because you did a lot for Cremisi Rebirth. And there's a bunch for this one. And I'm going to show as many of them as I can because I don't know how far I can go. And I don't want to get booted off YouTube.
Oh, throw the Kickstarter. They can be shown off at all. They can be shown off, period. Anybody can look at them. That's fine.
And so obviously, it's all the rewards. So obviously you have the digital download stuff. And so I think this is just $5 digital download. Very, very basic. And then also this is just, I think, the regular physical. I'm not going to get their names right, so I'm not going to attempt.
Nila Nandita, she's the interior artist for that book, so that's the A cover, since she's the one who did that one. The colors are by Hedwin Zaldivar on that cover. Hedwin's probably one of the best colors I've ever seen in the world. That gentleman is amazing. He's in the Hot Spring book. He's drawing and coloring in the Hot Spring book. He has worked for Zenoscope. He does some stuff. I think he does stuff with Brian Polito. I could be wrong on that one. Don't quote me. I might be wrong about that. He does.
I know Hedwin does a lot of stuff.
And he's done a lot of books. You see him on Kickstarter a lot. He's worked for several major companies. He's extremely talented and gifted as a colorist. He's got a very solid understanding of colors. And for that cover there, we wanted to, I have the habit of naming the covers, which isn't a common thing to do in the industry at all, but I like to do it because I'm insane. So I wanted that cover to be almost like to be of a yin and yang kind of effect. We have two contrasting colors making up most of the hue to each side of the screen or the image, with the main colors put in there in the center. So he did that right there with the red and the blue. When you read the book, that cover will start to make sense to you. We have our villains.
And then I want to dive into obviously this, because this is Bill Mckay.
Yeah, Bill's great.
This is the regular version, and then this is the naughty version, and obviously you put the censor bar there. So you can use their imagination, please.
Kickstarter has this rule. They say you can't have pornographic material for a Kickstarter project. But they do seem to allow you to bend that rule to the point where you see the breaking lines coming in. I have seen some other projects that are extremely questionable in content. Nothing of mine has full-on sex. There is nudity, but even then I require it to be tasteful, to be a celebration of the beauty of the character, not of the overtly pornographic nature that you could potentially display with these. Bill did those for me. Bill's coming back on Suck You Busted along with Dan Mendoza for that book, so I had to get the two together. Bill did a great job on this cover. It's proven pretty popular. People really like it. The character there, which is also the same background for it, is the primary villain of Pure Intent #1, Mei Lin. You're going to meet her and discover that she's a complete bitch.
Into that cover, because one of the things is that there's also a medal of that, which is cool. And so medals are really big right now. I don't know if you do. I don't think you do foils, right? You don't do.
We do. I do have some. Certain ones get foils, certain ones don't. So the medals became a highly requested one from the last campaign.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, we'll do a medal version of everything, because the medals that I got from this company out in Arizona that does medals are insanely gorgeous. They're just beautiful. So okay, I want more of these just because they are so pretty.
And then to even go further, because one of the things you do and that I want to highlight is that you also offer an option to get stuff signed from a lot of these artists. And some of them are impossible because they just live not in the U.S. But
I've tried to steer a little bit away from that from recent campaign, this campaign, and possibly the next one, and isolate entirely to those who are in the United States, just because getting stuff signed overseas with what's going on in the world has proven almost impossible.
It's difficult in general because international shipping is very expensive. Then shipping it back.
It's tightened down so much because of COVID. I still haven't gotten the books to Alan Quah or Lyrics because for the longest time for Alan, it was physically impossible to get them into Malaysia to get them to him. Now I've got the information. Those go out this week for his signatures. Lyrics is I can't get out for like another month to get signed, and I've told my backers that I apologize for that. That's beyond my control. That's the current situation of international shipping. One of my German backers messaged me saying she got the books, and I was glad she did, and she was really happy with it. But she told me that the German customs office had her pay, it was like an extra like $11 or $22 on top of what she'd already paid for shipping to the German customs agency in order to get her hands on it, which was completely beyond my control. I have nothing to do with that. That was completely just on international shipping. And I've been informed that Europe is enacting some new taxes or something on the way international shipping works over there.
And I don't know if you knew about Argentina. For the first 12 months, you couldn't ship anything into Argentina because of COVID. And so obviously that's a big issue. And I don't know how many people, if you have any artists from India, but I just interviewed Sanju, who's a color.
Is he on this? He's not on this book. He's not on this book.
No. But we didn't speak about COVID, but I know India is a mess with COVID. And so getting something shipped into India now is going to be a disaster, and it's going to be a disaster for years.
That's kind of why I've toned back on I'm only going to offer signing with artists who live in the States. And I know that sounds kind of mean maybe to my international artist friends, which the majority of artists I work with are international. My entire interior team is all female and international. But the reason being is just that I can't reliably get books to them and back and then to the backer. I just can't do that right now with the state of the world. Bill, he lives in America. Ariel Diaz, she lives in America. Both of those are the two I'm getting the signatures from this time. I think they're somewhere not too far from even where I am. So shipping to them in the United States and back is a piece of cake. That's simple. So when I get to Suck You Busted in October, I'll speak to Dan about getting signatures. Dan's in the United States. I know Bill will do it again, and some other artists on that. We can get those signed. Same with Kamisi 5 comes out. I've got Jason Hare working on a cover right now that has a triple crossover with Danger Zone 1 from Midnight Publishing, who do their manga, and Foxy and Wolfie, who's a good friend of mine, Kitsune Windsor, that's her manga. So it's 3 beautiful, extremely busty, blonde, blue-eyed girls with glasses all together for the enjoyment of the viewer.
And then let's talk about that Ariel Diaz cover, because this is obviously another cover that could be picked up. This is the naughty version of that cover. Obviously, there's a medal of that as well. That could
too. That just came out. You can get that same cover, the naughty and nice comboed, and you can get it where her dress is foiled. Only her dress is the foil, so it's going to look absolutely amazing when we get that in. The company that does those foils, I had I can show you. Well, no, I don't have it with me. I've had some stuff spot foiled already, and it turned out so amazing that professional art, like other professional comic creators who are way bigger than me, were asking where I got them done. I was like, oh, that's great. That means they look good. That means they're up to what I consider the proper standard. To make sure that my backers are getting the absolute best product I can possibly get for them. Because at the end of the day, that's what I care about, is making sure they get the highest quality possible. I realize I'm a little slower than maybe some of the other guys are, but unlike Brian Polito or Dan Mendoza, I don't have a warehouse full of people working for me. It's just me and the cats, and you see how helpful they are. They're not.
But the idea.
On Pure Intent, I do have help coming in. This time out, because of Kamisi Rebirth, I was able this time to be aware of what I might be running into. So this time I do have a good number of hands to come in so I can knock out all the shipping, hopefully in a weekend this time, as opposed to, you see what I'm doing right now.
And to even talk about that, because obviously I know Tom Hutchinson, and it's this idea that sometimes, what it is, you run a Kickstarter and your stuff's not centralized and you have to centralize. And I'm in the process of doing that in my own business and selling and buying comics. So I completely understand where I am also very slow at shipping, and I'm speeding up that process. And I think the only thing that matters is if you're communicating with your backers, because I think people on Kickstarter are very forgiving if they know what's going on.
I've only had 1 or 2 who ever had any semblance of an attitude, and they may not have even meant it that way. Just that when you type anything over text always looks cold, and I hate that about when you message somebody on Facebook or through Discord or email. It always feels cold because there's just it's a cold medium. It's just the way it is. But for the most part, I did run into some trouble after Kamisi Rebirth finished. About maybe 3 weeks after it finished, I lost my mother. So I messaged my backers saying that I was going to be out of action for about 2 weeks. And that meant nothing was getting touched. And during that time period, it was just me trying to take care of the family and cope with what had just happened. I was very close to my mother, so that was decimating. I'll probably never 100% recover from that, but I don't think anyone does, understandably. That slowed me down, and then the shipping stuff slowed me down. So luckily, my backers, I keep them updated every step of the way. When these get ready to ship, which I'll be making labels tonight for most of these, throughout the week I'll be doing them all. I'll be posting more updates for my backers from Kamisi 1 to let them know what the state of everything is, how it's going. Right now I'm a little delayed again because I'm waiting on some damages to come back in. There was we had a unusually high number of prints and books came in damaged, which is not the fault of the supplier. There were some other things that happened in there. So all those books and prints are being replaced, but that takes more time. So I apologize to my backers for that. That's out of my control. But luckily for Pure Intent, I don't imagine those are going to be much of a problem, because now I have a lot better idea of what we're doing. And Pure Intent has been pre-prepared for all of these. What before I had no idea it could happen, and now I do. It's just a learning experience.
So what is that like, knowing that, obviously you met a lot of people and that you've gone through, sort of just the basic Kickstarter, and then it exploded, and now you have an idea what to expect, and obviously you sort of got a hard knock education to some degree.
It was amazing to be in that spot. It's a good problem to have. It was frustrating going through books and finding damages to them. That was not a fun process, but I'm sure any of these guys do a lot of Kickstarters can tell you they've all gone through that. And that, I don't blame the print shop for that. Print shop I work with, I don't want to name them now because I don't want to make it sound like they're bad or anything. They're great. They're replacing everything. They're good to work with. They're great people. Absolutely love them, and I'll continue to use them because their service is so good. But it's just something that happens. Realistically, when you order a lot of books, you can expect about 10% damaged. And my colleagues who run collectibles companies that sell massive amounts of comic books, thousands of books a week, have told me that's what I can expect. This is pretty normal. Be ready for that. Like, okay, well, before I was ordering 300 or 400 books, so it wasn't really happening that much. I'd get maybe 5 or 6, maybe a dozen that were damaged. This time it was significantly more, which I'm not mad about. It just happens. So that like you said, that was definitely a trial by fire kind of incident to learn this. I was used to doing these small little campaigns, and now that even Pure Intent is gone, I think it took us like 3 hours to reach the goal. And I'll admit, going into Pure Intent, excuse me, get a drink. Yeah, going into Pure Intent, which has been the most expensive book to produce I've ever done, and had the highest Kickstarter goal I've ever done of $5,000. And I was thinking, man, if I get to $5,000, I'm gonna be pushing it, asking for that as a funding goal. And we got it in 3 hours. And I was like, oh well, I guess once again I'm surprised, which is a good thing. I'll admit I'm one of those guys who always presumes the worst, hopes for the best. Pure Intent's doing really well. It's continuing to climb. Every campaign, if you're gonna ever do a Kickstarter, little piece of advice I've learned is, and I've seen it happen to guys who are way bigger than me. You'll get to a certain number, and then you'll drop down and get close to it and drop down again, and it'll do that for a couple of days, and then you'll go past it. I don't know why it is. I call this a nemesis number. For Kermesse Rebirth, it was $9,000. I would get right up to it, and then we'd fall back down. And it happened for like 3 days in a row. And it's kind of frustrating, because you're like, man, what am I doing wrong? Like, what am I doing this wrong? You blame yourself. You do. You're never mad at the backers of the community. If you're doing that, you're not doing it right. You look at yourself and say, okay, how can I improve? What can I do to be better? And eventually, obviously, we blew way past that. And this time on Pure Intent, it's looking like 12,500 is the number that is just beating me back down. Like, well, we'll get past it eventually and keep building things. I've got some more stuff to unveil as the campaign goes on. I worked with some artists this time, and I took a note out of the book of Dan Mendoza and how he does his campaigns, where he unveils some really cool stuff as the campaign goes on to keep it fresh. So I took a note from his book and said, well, if I'm going to be like anybody, let's be like the best.
There's a bunch of people that do that. Jamie Tyndall does that. Tom Hutchinson and Jim Noble are doing that, and they're very much
they all do it.
Goes a camp. Anybody who's been around on Kickstarter, there's a bunch of tricks and trades, and it's a very useful trade because it's almost like you're adding an add-on or you're revealing another reward type thing, and then people say, oh man, I want that too, and it gets very, very interesting. So obviously I do want to mention a few more covers because there's a few more. Obviously this one, and this one is sort of Nice Fox, and then not so Nice Fox.
That's Izumi Fox. She's my personal mascot. She represents me and everything she's in. She was created because we found that naughty covers were popular, and not every book I do has a lot of characters who are applicable for those covers. And Izumi doesn't mind being on them. So she gets to be on those covers now as my mascot, so anything. So she can be in anything I do on any cover. She doesn't appear in the books canonically. You might see her like on a screensaver somewhere or something. But she is in Suck You Busted. You'll see her somewhere hidden in a background somewhere as I guess like a screensaver kind of thing. A lot of people find that one. It's pretty blatant when you get to it. But she had her first appearance in Rebirth, and people loved her. She was incredibly popular. So we decided to keep that train going. People like Izumi. We'll give them more Izumi. So she has that naughty and nice when she's on. She's on 2 different covers this time. She's just proved so popular.
And then also I do want to talk about these because this is obviously DBZ, and it's a very cool. What?
I can't claim that's Dragon Ball Z. I think that's just that's completely coincidental. I can't claim that.
You could claim anything you don't want to do. This is obviously something is working.
It's a homage to a particular what's potentially the most popular anime to ever hit TV.
And then this is also another version of it. And so there's 3 versions of this. Obviously, we get sort of, I guess, a nice semi-naughty cover. We get the naughty cover, and then we get a super naughty cover.
I had to call it semi-naughty solely because I didn't plan on this way, but Makushima drew it that way, where
CT?
it's pretty much what's down below there on the bottom is pretty much just painted onto her. So it leaves nothing to the imagination. It's like, well, I don't know how to censor this or not. Let's go ahead and do it and be safe and call it a semi-naughty just to be safe, because she technically is clothed, but the key word there is technically. So there's
CT involved.
CT?
CT, camel toe.
Oh yeah, that's there. That's 100% there.
But obviously we all know what this is. I don't think we need to pretend.
If you're anyone who's been exposed to, well, the perversions that is the real world, you can figure that out pretty fast.
I mean what they're covering. That's not the point.
Mm-hmm.
But what is this like to obviously pay homage or pay homage and do that and have those covers, because this is obviously, people like this stuff. People like this type of stuff. People love anime. People love the way Japanese stuff are drawn, and this is very much an anime cover. And obviously, we're going to talk about Demon Slayer in a second here. But what is that like to be doing stuff like this and have that? Because it is cool, and a lot of Kickstarters don't do this, and it is different, and people want different stuff. And whether people are reading your book or say, hey, I just love this artwork and I want to hang this artwork up, because you know that I just want to go get the Kremisi book that you did, which paid tribute to Trigun CGC. So people do that.
Homages and crossovers have become more and more popular as time goes on. You can't pick up a fighting game anymore without having characters from something else in it. Tekken, Mortal Kombat are all big pushers of this. When the Mortal Kombat film came out, everybody's Kickstarter had Mortal Kombat cosplay covers. Everybody had those homage covers, naughty and nice variants. I saw so many of girls dressed up as like sexy Sub-Zero and Melina and Katana and all this. Oh wow, there's something to this. I wanted to homage since my inspiration comes more from the anime and manga world. And to my surprise, I've had fans message me and say that they don't even read comics. They're manga people, and they read what I do, which I guess my work is a blending of the two styles is the idea behind it. I don't classify it as manga because I feel like there's some pretty hard rules about what constitutes manga and what doesn't, myself being more of a purist. So I don't call it that because I don't feel like my work fits perfectly into that definition. It definitely shares some likenesses, but doesn't fall perfectly into that slot. For this case, I wanted to homage some anime that were popular and that inspired me and other people liked. Dragon Ball Z is probably the most popular anime franchise of all time, with the exception of, if you consider Pokemon an anime franchise. Pokemon's in everything, so I don't know if it's a fair comparison or not. I played the idea of actually doing Alice in a future book dressed as a sexy version of Red Trainer, but we decided that Nintendo doesn't like people doing that kind of stuff. So there's certain companies I try to not homage their stuff from because they're a little pickier. Kremisi Rebirth had one where everybody voted for Alice to be in a naughty cover dressed as Spider-Gwen. I said, okay, we can do that, but I'm only going to make that very limited who back that one tier, because Marvel's owned by Disney, and Disney's really strict about what you do with anything that looks like their stuff. I'm not going to mess with that too much. I'm not going to poke the mouse. I wanted to do some homages of things that were inspirational and things that I know people liked. So Dragon Ball
also people get instantly as well.
Yeah, because people like familiarity. I was told a long time ago when I first started doing comics that if you're an independent creator, it's very hard for somebody to get people to pick up a serious indie book. Because if it's funny, if it's silly or sexy, it's a lot easier to sell. But if it's serious, it's a little bit harder. I'm expanding now into sillier and sexier work, but I I'm more of the set mindset of I like a serious, darker story with a good story to it, where a lot of really evil shit happens. I like that, but not everybody does. So in the series like Pure Intent and Cremisi, certain characters come in to help lighten the mood. In Cremisi, we have Alice. Pure Intent doesn't really get there for a little while. The first book gets to that point, but very just the tip of the iceberg for as far as darkness goes and how evil it really can get. And I want to do homage covers for things that were applicable to what I believe my fans are into. My people who back my books are more of an anime crowd. So I decided to push the anime route. So we went with Dragon Ball Z and Demon Slayer because those are the two right now that they're the two juggernauts on the market. Unless you want, as well, they're two of the juggernauts. And
so this
Demon
is
Slayer,
the Demon Slayer, and obviously this is not that expensive. I think it's both. No. Personally, I am not a nude guy. I don't like nude covers, and the reason why I don't.
My agent's the same way. My agent, being a massive Dragon Ball Z fan, actually didn't pulled me aside and was like, "I don't like that Brook cover at all." He doesn't like the sexified Saiyan uniform.
It's for me.
I can see where you're coming from, but I told him.
So for me, I like to leave things to the imagination. I think that females, and look, I'm not saying don't do a nude cover. I think if you're making money with nude covers, be my guest. That's not what I'm saying. What is I like to leave things to my imagination because I think it's sexier to imagine certain things than for it to be completely presented to me, and then I'm not imagining it anymore. So, like, this Demon Slayer cover is a great example where there's a lot of, obviously this isn't as sexy, but the Dragon Ball Z stuff is that if she still has big tits and insane armor, like I can imagine what it looks like, and then you show them to me, well, the imagination is not there anymore. So that's just how I feel.
Well, on Rebirth, we had two naughty versions of Alice's cover, one where she was in lingerie that was revealing, and one where she was topless. And Sayako at the time told me she didn't understand why I would ever put women really revealing, characters in really revealing sexy lingerie. And I had the same conversation, like, well, someone who's naked and just wearing thigh highs is sexier than just being naked to some people, myself being one of them. And a lot of backers feel the same way. But that's why I present a little bit of both. Because if you like it this way,
I love it. I'm not telling
this way. I got you too. Whatever makes you happy. That's what we're here for, is to make.
I'm here for you to make money. Any which way you want to make money, and whoever has
that's a nice byproduct.
Oh, I'm sorry. What were you saying?
The money's a nice byproduct, but the reality of it is, if we're going to be serious about it, the money is just the fuel in the engine. I can't run this car on a track without it. But I consider myself to be in the business of making people happy. And if some people like those naughty covers and they want semi-naughty or full naughty, then I'll do both to make both audiences happy. I would like to do some covers with some more attractive males on them. I may be experimenting with that in the future.
Just looking at all me, just put me on the cover. I'll sell as many books as you want.
My concern with that is, will those covers be popular? People actually like that. We do have one cover for Suck You Busted that we'll see in October, where it's the leading male, leading female in their underwear. When my artist Mitsu originally did the male, she had him in like boxer briefs. Well, I have no problem with that, but some people won't like that because now there's bulge and they don't comfortable with that. I'm not going to make any social commentary on that whatsoever. That's not. I just make comic books. I'm not a guy to go. I'm not a guy for that one.
So to even back out of that, because I don't want to put you in this spot.
No, I'll get out of it.
I mean, I would ask you how you feel about Superman, with his trunks inside and out, but we don't have to go there. We don't have to go there. That's called a joke, everybody. That's called a joke. But I do want to also highlight this cover because I love this Demon Slayer cover, and I want to get it in because I know I got to get it out in a few seconds. And this is my favorite cover out of the bunch, and in particular not the naughty version, but just the clean version, because I love the way this is done, and I love the fact that it's obviously Demon Slayer. The movie was phenomenal, in which I'm sure you saw it, and it's one of the it's the most popular movie, and I think it beat Weather with You for the first time.
It was the highest grossing foreign film in the U.S.
And so, obviously, what is this like? Because this is obviously very cool, and I think this caught a lot of people's eyes. And I don't know if you've posted this into anime groups, but that's like the path right into every single Demon Slayer group on Facebook. This is the path.
That one was an interesting one to do because, again, one of my main cast of Koro, the two characters, the younger characters of Koro and Tamaki, who are both about the age on the left there, they're both about 14 years old. So when we decided we're going to do a naughty version of this, I was like, well, we can't just make it like other covers, just remove some clothing. We have to change it because I can't put two 14-year-olds on the same cover with a topless woman. I'm pretty sure they burned my house down for that, along with a lot of other things that be said about me. And I'm not down with that. So we switched them out in the naughty version with Manzano, who's the character in the background there with the swords, who's 19 years old. So he can be there. He's old enough to be in that situation with the topless woman. The other two were not. So we had to change that a little bit. I can tell you at some point in time, I don't know when we're releasing it, but that naughty version is getting a spot foil variant that is on the way that I will be unleashing at some point in time throughout this campaign. I can't say when yet. That will be, I believe it's the water effects on that cover will be spot foiled. Super excited for that. That's going to be really pretty. We'll offer that with another bundle coming out in the near future. Sarah did a good job on it. She's going to be doing some stuff on the Hot Spring book for me. So I'll continue working with her. You can see more of her work in the future.
And so obviously, I mean, these are just some of the covers, and there's like a bunch more. Everything I think more or less can be done metal. There's some foils, and obviously there's a bunch of stretch goals and a lot of cool stuff's coming out. And so obviously, I mean, I don't want to push too much further, and I'm sure that people can go to the Kickstarter, links up above. And so obviously I do want to give you an opportunity to self-promote yourself because I know that you're super busy, obviously packing up packages for getting your first PC. So where can people find you?
My website's finally up. It took me like 3 years to finally do it. Foxycomics.com with 2 X's. My agent's idea. I didn't want to put 3 X's because then that implies a different kind of website, which is not what I'm doing. If you join our mailing list, though, some of these naughty covers that we have are not on the website. You'll find they're not there. Why aren't they there? Because you have to be on the mailing list, and only through that can you get invited to the red light specials when those naughty covers will become available for limited periods of time throughout the year. So you got to be on that mailing list in order to get to it. Other than that, you can find me at Isaac Fox Comics and Art on Facebook, same thing on Instagram, and same thing on Twitter, the 3 that I use the most. Instagram still kind of kicks my butt. I'm not very good at that one. I'm still learning it. One of my good colleagues, the guy who makes my videos actually, is the social media manager for a video game franchise. And he's been helping me figure out, as he's learning it now, he's been helping, I've been kind of learning it together to get better at Instagram. I've never understood social media. I know like we're the generation that got it, so we're the ones that know it. I never understood it, and that's probably my biggest weakness, I think. And I openly admit that's my biggest weakness is I don't understand social media at all. I don't get how one person can post a drawing that looks okay of a tape dispenser, and another person can put something like this up of Alice right here, and it get like 3 likes compared to like the 5,000 this would get. I'm like, I don't understand how that works. And I know I'm not alone in that. And there are people out there probably looking at me going, you dumb motherfucker. How don't you know how that works? I'm like, you know what? I probably am dumb. I don't know. I just write comic books and manage a company. It's all I really do. It's pretty much my entire life.
You're doing better than me. So. And I just interview people, and I just hope I make it. And I'm sure I'm going to be perfectly economically fine. And all I want to do is get fat and eat cheese with somebody. So that's my goal in life. It's a very low standard. I started out all the way up here, and I'm now all the way down here. So anyway, but this isn't about me. It's about you. And so obviously, I do want to make it crystal clear. Obviously, back the Kickstarter. You deliver on your Kickstarter. I got my Kickstarter. Came really nice.
Kickstarter. Every naughty cover is a virgin on this Kickstarter that was unlocked, and that's exclusive to Kickstarter. Once the campaign's over, I don't sell the virgins online anymore. They're done. I print a few extras, of course, to make up for whatever might happen along the way. Once those are done, they're done. Some of the medals and the spot foils are also Kickstarter exclusive. You won't be able to get those on the website. Those aren't going to be anywhere else. You have to get them through this campaign. There's some stuff, also some really good add-ons to this campaign, some amazing ones. There's 2 preview books this time. There's a preview book for Kermesse for issue 5 and issue 2 for its rebirth. There's also a preview book of the Foxes and Devils edition, which is a preview of the naughtier books that I'm doing, which is Suck You Busted and the Hot Spring book, which coincidentally is the most popular add-on right now. I know we're all surprised by that. There's also, we are doing a crossover event with Lily the Demoness, which is live right now from Luis Torres. If you back both projects, you get the ultra naughty version of that print, where I think in the naughty version there, Maylin, her crotch is covered. In the ultra naughty, where you back both projects, you get it in digital and physical form. It's not covered. It's pretty much, as the name implies, it is the naughtiest thing I've ever been a part of in my entire time working on comics. And Lewis's work, he likes to do a little more naughtier than what I do. So he said, well, it's a crossover. We'll go with it for this route. That's proven pretty popular. People are liking that one a lot. There is also, if you back Foxy and Wolfie on Indiegogo from Kitsune Windsor, you also back Pure Intent #1, you get the Strip Poker Fox Girls image, which includes characters from Kuzumi, Alice, and one of the girls from Foxy and Wolfie all playing a game of strip poker. And Alice, being a virtual intelligence computer, is dominating. So the other two and not really have much in the way of clothing left on at that point in the game. So back both those projects, you get that for free. You'll get a digital and physical for free. It's an extra goodie, more bang for your buck. That's what we're trying to do, is bring more stuff to our backers. I guess some other amazing add-ons. If you're excited for Suck You Busted, you like ecchi, you like sexy demon girls running around and arresting people and the antics that they might get into, there is a acrylic charm of one of the succubi from that cosplaying Jade for Mortal Kombat, and that charm is also an ultra naughty. And if you see it, you'll know why. She's not really leaving anything to the imagination in that one. That one's pretty lewd. And if that proves popular, we'll do more of those when Suck You Busted comes out. We've got more, and right now it's everything on my plate is getting this campaign finished, packing this stuff up, preparing for October when Suck You Busted #1 will come out. That book is totally done. There's 1 or 2 more covers being wrapped up on it. That book's going to have Dan Mendoza, Bill Mckay, Cute Sexy Robots, a lot of names on there. Cute Sexy Robots did a cover for Pure Intent, which right now is the most popular cover we have, featuring Izumi Fox, my mascot, and Brooke Astral, who's the mascot for my company, Astral Ticket Publishing. Those two having a Yuri moment. Everybody likes that, but again, not going too far because I don't allow that. But it's tasteful.
So
but
there's a lot of stuff going on, and obviously people can find you, and there's just an abundance of stuff. And so obviously, and I've been saying this over and over again, that you have to support indie. And I have a feeling with you and Astral Ticket and everything that you touch is that there's something for everybody, whether you want to just have a nice, Demon Slayer cover, or just do something that's very wholesome in covers, or you want to go the naughty route. There's something for everybody with your company, and there's also something for everybody at every price point, where you could go $10 all the way up to like $500, give or take.
I think we sold out of the 500 actually. I think it maxed out. The 500 tier was anyone who backs that, you will be a pirate boss in issue 2 with speaking lines, and you
I was just choosing a number randomly. I don't know.
Your number was spot on. That was the highest. That was the highest tier we had, and I've sold out of it. So I have no complaints about that, and I'm looking forward to. So I wish I could see the reactions on the backers when they show up in the book. Issue Kermesse 5 has some backers that show up in that book that paid for those tiers to show up in there. And it's taking a little longer to do that because I have 5 production, but I've got 2 interior artists and several others doing everything. So we've got a lot of books underway right now.
And so obviously, as I was saying, you have to support indie. And the way to do it is backing Kickstarters, obviously pledging, and also going on websites and buying people's books that are not on Kickstarter. Or if you missed a Kickstarter, going on their Shopify store, going on whatever platform they sell on and buy their books. And then even going further, you have to follow them. You have to share their projects. It goes such a long way when you're sharing anybody's project, whether, you're sharing their Kickstarter, or you're sending it to a friend, or you're just liking it, or you're commenting on it. And if it appeared on Twitter, goes a long way, because you never know who's watching. and also anything indie in particular, you need to share because indie creators thrive on this stuff and they depend on it. So obviously it is super, super important. And whether you're back in digital or physical, no pledge is too small. And so on that note, I'm going to give you the final word.
So in the same vein what you were talking about there, this time I am using BackerKit. So the survey is going to be a little easier for everybody to use. And when the campaign's over, we will also be offering some more stuff people can add on to their packages. Everybody else has been using BackerKit. Before I didn't use them because it didn't really make sense for me. But after Kamisi Rebirth, it's like, okay, I need to use one of these platforms in part because going through over about 400 plus emails and addresses and putting them into spreadsheets myself turned out to be daunting at the least. And they'll help me with that one. So we're going to be using that this time, which allows me to increase my value to the backers and get them more stuff and get to them faster. And that's what we're all about here, is making everybody happy. I'll be doing some conventions. If you're in Jacksonville or St. Augustine, I will be at I'm a guest at Ancient CityCon in September 17th and 19th. I'll be there along with Butterbean the Boxer, the voice of Frylock, the voice of Courage the Cowardly Dog. It's kind of a shocking to see my name next to theirs, actually. So if you're going to be in St. Augustine during that weekend, come see me. I sign books for free. I don't charge for autographs. I don't think I should do that ever. I hope even if I ever got to the point where I could explode, I don't think I still would charge for autographs. I'm just a writer. We're not worth that much. And head to the Kickstarter. Check out Pure Intent #1. It's got everything from cool covers to sexy covers to an amazing story with great interior artwork, and it sets you up for Pure Intent #2, which will go into #3. And that story will be wrapped up. And if you are someone who's already reading the Kamisi series and you're part of it and you like the Kamisi franchise, you really want to check out Pure Intent. I can't tell you why, it's a spoiler, but you really, really don't want to miss that one. And like he said, if you back indie books, remember that puts food in that cat's bowl. That's what you're doing. You're feeding the cats. Don't let them go hungry. Let me guilt trip you into backing my comics. Do that so the cat can eat tonight.
Well, if you're going to guilt trip everybody should be backing my podcast too, or at least sharing it. At least sharing it. I just want to share. That's all I want. I want a little share. All you have to do is share it and give me a little heart, and I smile, and it makes me so happy. You could back his Kickstarter and give him all the money you want. I just want to share. That's all I want. That's all I want. It's not too much to ask for.
The same.
That's all I want. So on that note, that's a wrap.
All right.